One of the only reasons that people were even tuning in to season 2 of The Witcher was for Henry Cavill as Geralt. The first season, most people thought pretty meh, but at the same time, a great interpretation of Geralt by Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is a big fan of The Witcher. He loves the books. He loves the games. This is the role of his lifetime, the role that he wanted to do, but he walked away. He walked away from Netflix in a shocking way where he announced, you know what, I'm leaving, but don't worry, they're going to recast the role. A lot of people have speculated what this is about, and it's pretty obvious at this point that Henry Cavill despised what they were doing with The Witcher, how they were bastardizing the lore, all for the sake of their own identity politics, for their woke virtue signaling. Well, it looks like Henry Cavill escaped just in the nick of time, because only a few months after that, Blood Origin came out, has been a disaster for Netflix, one of the lowest rated things we've seen in history for Netflix when you look at the way the audience is reacting. And as a whole, look at what's happened with Netflix. Netflix shares plummet more than 50% in 2022, worst year in more than a decade. And now we have somebody else who's very close to the Witcher franchise speaking out in support of Henry Cavill over the reason that he left. I think that's why Henry's leaving. The Witcher 3's Geralt of Rivia voice actor reveals Henry Cavill left the show because he's such a huge fan of the games and the books. Yeah, just like so many of us have said, just like so many of us have speculated, and you can clearly just see that is why Henry Cavill was unhappy. That's why he left. It wasn't because of schedule conflicts, nothing like that. It's because the showrunner, the writers, these woke lunatics that Netflix put in charge of this is a disaster of their own making. They're the ones that forced Henry Cavill out. Actor Henry Cavill is known for playing a plethora of iconic characters. One of them is Geralt in the Netflix's Witcher. His exit from the show came as a shock for fans who thought the actor was perfectly fitting for the role. Owing to the fact that he's leaving The Witcher and joining the DCU happened almost simultaneously, fans blamed him for separating from the show to play Superman. Not many. Most people blamed The Witcher and Netflix immediately, and now we know he's not playing Superman either. Another theory, which is more plausible, is that Henry Cavill didn't appreciate the Netflix show deviating to a certain extent from the source material. We all know how much he loves the novels and video games. Not staying true could have been the deal breaker for Henry Cavill, and Doug Cockle, the voice of Geralt of Rivia, seems to agree. The voice of Geralt understands Henry Cavill. During an appearance at MCM Comic-Con, Doug Cockle talked about Henry Cavill's exit from The Witcher. Although Cavill never officially gave a reason, he believes that he took the right step. Cockle gave his voice to Geralt of Rivia in CD Projekt Red's The Witcher trilogy, which ended in 2015. Cockle stated that while Cavill hasn't said it himself, there's speculation about him not agreeing with the storyline. Here is the quote. "If that's the case, I can completely understand that because Henry Cavill is such a huge fan of the games and the books, and the writers at Netflix have chosen, for whatever reason they did so, to deviate quite severely from the books and the games. Whether that's good or not, that's down to what you like. I personally don't understand the choice." There you go. And I think that's why Henry is leaving. So you have the voice of Geralt himself coming out and saying, yeah, seems to be the case. When you look at everything, that seems to be the reason that Henry Cavill left. Because these people at The Witcher on Netflix, because they're woke activists, because all they wanted to do was insert their own identity politics in a project where it had no business. They wanted to change the lore of something that wasn't theirs to change. The same thing, the same mistakes we see from woke Hollywood time and time again. Henry Cavill had enough, and now the voice of Geralt himself is backing Henry Cavill and saying, you know what? It makes sense. It makes sense why Henry Cavill walked away after this disaster, after Netflix deciding to change everything about the character and the world that he loved so much. Nobody knows for sure other than Henry Cavill, but looking at everything, hearing the quotes from former Witcher writers like Bo DeMayo about what the writers' room felt, how they mocked the source material, everybody can basically agree. Henry Cavill left because the writers of Netflix didn't respect anything that they wanted to do, and he had had enough of it. I hope more people take a stand like Henry Cavill does when they're working on something where the writers, the showrunners, everybody have no respect whatsoever for what came before, have no respect for honoring the source material, whether it be books, video games, comic books, everything. I hope more people in Hollywood take a stand just like we saw from Henry Cavill.